It's going to be a tough one. So in years to come, people are going to be asking you, where were you on the 22nd of July 2025, the day Ozzy Osbourne died? Yeah. You know, when I do these cellar things, I usually make notes and stuff like that, and so I can just look down and see what I'm doing. But today, look, under the episode, I just put Ozzy, so I'm just winging this. Yeah, it's crazy how actually gutted I am about this. With this fucking, it feels weird saying it, that I'm actually really, really gutted and upset that Ozzy Osbourne died. Yeah, God, I first got into Sabbath probably when I was about 13-year-old, back in the early 90s. You know, when you were your mates and you parked up in some little dodgy lay-by or some wood, and your mate's Mark 1 Fiesta. You've got we sold ourselves for rock and roll on the bloody tape deck, smoking a bit of weed, and that was in my introduction to Black Sabbath and Ozzy Osbourne. When I first saw Black Sabbath in 1997 on the reunion tour, the original reunion tour. I have the ticket right there. I was 17. Yeah, I think Fear Factory supported them, and we'd gone down to that. That went on Friday, and we stayed down in Birmingham because we knew some people down there, so we could got some houses to stay. And we went to XL's nightclub that were down there, some metal club, and we were sat downstairs. All of us sat around the table, and all night we were just going, away, 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 Sabbath, Sabbath. It was brilliant. I don't know what it was, but that was just like proper. Come on, we've just seen Black Sabbath, man. Yeah, that was like sort of the first time I'd seen him anyway. And the second time, and if you've watched these before, you've noticed I've seen the ticket before. Ozfest 98. This is legendary, this. That's sort of like before internet took off and smartphones and all that. So it was like the last big fucking heavy metal show, I suppose. Yeah, Black Sabbath and Ozzy Osbourne doing shows. I think, if I remember correctly, Ozzy Osbourne on that night, he had Mike Bowden on drums, Zach Wild on guitar, and Rob Trio on bass. That's like my generation's dream lineup. I mean, I'd love to obviously have seen Randy Rhoads on that at some point, but obviously he tragically died many years ago. I'm sure I've seen him with Tommy Aldridge as well at one point, I'm sure. Yeah, when Sabbath were on stage, I remember Bill wasn't playing, so they had Vinny Appice on drums. So Bill wasn't playing because he just had a heart attack, and he came on stage with a cup and saucer, and Ozzy just went over and just ripped his pants down, and to the big applaud and cheer from the crowd. Yeah, I'm just riffing, you know what I mean? Just coming out to see what I can remember about these bloody good times, man. Just seeing Ozzy and Black Sabbath. And another one, Ozfest 2001. Yeah, that's 24 years ago, man. I've got vague recollection of it. When we, my very good friends Dave G and Rod Pops. Yeah, I've got some photos. Remember the old photos that people used to print out? I've got some of them. I couldn't find them though. I think they're probably my parents. But yeah, they were. I think there were two stages at this one. Yeah, obviously the main stage and the second stage were just outside of it. And that was the first time I saw Black Label Society on there as well. That was a bloody good show. And yeah, another one, 2002. Ozfest 2002. To be honest, I don't have much recollection of that because that bloody lost profits on there as well. So yeah, I'd seen Ozzy and Sabbath quite a few times, and they never failed to put on a good show. Ozzy was just there was no one like Ozzy. There was never ever going to be anyone like Ozzy ever again. You know, all these people now. Steve Tyler, for instance, did he hear his voice at the back to the beginning? The guy's 78. He still commanded that stage like he was when he was bloody younger. It was fucking phenomenal. But all these people that we loved growing up, you know, they're all knocking on, and there's nothing to replace them. There's no music like that to replace them. But that music's going to live on, and what Ozzy left it's timeless. His death is there with John Lennon, Jimi Hendrix. Obviously, he's one of the greats. He's one of the greats, and he'll never be replaced. There'll be never anyone like him ever again. And he's just left cool fucking music for everyone. You know, you might have seen him got into Black Sabbath right in the early 70s when they released the first heavy metal album. You know, him, Bill, Tony and Geezer wrote the first heavy metal album, and for 50 years they made a living out of it, and heavy metal is still strong to this day, and it's fucking phenomenal. Where am I going? Yeah, or you might have got into him when he went solo after he got sacked from Sabbath for drug and alcohol problems, which is rich coming from the rest of the band when they all had drug and alcohol problems. But anyway, yeah, they thought it was the end, and Ozzy's just made a living as a global superstar right until, he then sort of reinvented himself in bloody early 2000s with the bloody Osbournes, if you remember that. I mean, that was funny. You saw a totally different side to Ozzy on that. It was funny. I mean, I dare say some of it was slightly staged, but it was funny getting into it, and yeah, what a guy. And he continued making music all through that time. And as he got older, what was it, in the last 6 years or so, Parkinson's, he'd had loads of accidents. He had a couple of accidents and operations on his back. And Parkinson's had got hold of him in later life, but he always wanted to do the show. He always wanted to do one last show in his hometown, and he did. It was like he went to his own funeral. He attended his own funeral, and that was his send-off. Now that's pretty fucking, that's fucking magical, is that? So, yeah. Wow. Yeah, Ozzy fucking Osbourne, man. Raise a glass. Ozzy fucking Osbourne. You know, we're never going to see those tunes played again, sang by that voice. You know, having Bill, Geezer and Tony play those tunes again. You know, having them four again at the end, again together, were great. You know, I mean, I didn't watch the whole thing because I had to go away that weekend. I'd like to have gone, but what I've seen, brilliant. Everyone's performance, totally, give Ozzy a great send-off. You know, bloody Youngblood's Changes cover, fantastic. I'll get that's off to him, yeah, brilliant cover. Everyone else, Steve Tyler, like I mentioned, he was fucking phenomenal. Guns N' Roses, in fact, yeah, Guns N' Roses, I've been listening to them since I was 8-year-old. And when they did the Illusion tour, they always used to start with It's Alright on piano, which I didn't know who it was by. I had no idea who it was by, so I'd always loved that song because at the beginning of November Rain they used to play it live. And yeah, it turns out it's by Black Sabbath, sung by Bill Ward. I think it's off Technical Ecstasy. I think that's right. Apologies if I do get it right. I mean wrong. I'll put it on the bottom of the screen. But yeah, right. I think I'm going to leave it there. Ozzy Osbourne. There's never going to be a man like him ever again.